Hello, it's Amy with Softwind Crafting down here in the Rio Grande Valley, and I am here to show you a card using your scraps. So I have been using my paper from the Beautiful Gallery series, which is in the yearly catalog, and I love this paper. I used this to make cards for my mother-in-law, so they can send out birthday cards and thank you cards or whatever cards they need during the year. And you can see here at the front, I have a lot of different scraps. And so I started cutting them down into 1-inch squares because I did see a video last month, maybe a little bit earlier, about somebody who was using 1-inch squares to make Christmas cards. And I was like, oh, it's so pretty. And so I decided I was going to make a card, a birthday card or a thank you card or something to use up my 1-inch scraps. So what you want to do is just take your scrap paper and you can cut them into just 1-inch squares. And we're going to use this to arrange to make a card. All right. So I have here on the side, I have a card base of peach pie, and it is cut. It's 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. So this is going to be the base for our card. Now I've seen people do the square patterns directly on the card base, but today I'm going to use a piece of 5 1/4 by 4 vanilla, very vanilla cardstock. Okay, and I have another piece for the inside, same size, 4 1/2 by, or 4 by 5 1/4. So what I did is I went ahead and I just kind of marked the middle because I want to make sure that my squares go on straight. So I found the middle point, which would be 2 inches. I drew a vertical line, and then I found the center point at 2 5/8. So how I figured that out, because I'm not very good at math, is that I said, okay, well, 2 1/2 is half of 5. It was 5 1/4, so half of a quarter is an eighth. So I'd added an extra eighth to 2 1/2, and so that would be 2 5/8. So anyway, I just marked that center point. And so what I'm going to do is, because I like using the multi-purpose glue, I'm going to use that to glue my squares. And let me grab my silicone mat so I make sure I don't get glue everywhere, as I am prone to do because I'm a messy crafter. And so what I'm going to do is I just want to, first of all, kind of like pick out my squares, and I'm just going to kind of lay them out so I can kind of see a pattern that I think is kind of pleasing to me. And so there's 2 sides to the paper. Okay, so you're going to pick out the sides that you like the best. That one's a little different. That one's kind of the same. Here's one. Here's that one. And I'm just looking for different kinds of patterns to use to lay on the cardstock. So here's another one that's different. Oh, I did use this one already. Oh, this one has a little bit of a pattern on the back. Let's see if I have anything else that looks kind of pretty. I may have to repeat. Oh, this one's kind of plain, but it matches the color scheme, so that one's good. All right, so let's make sure I picked out enough squares. Nope, I need one more square. All right, let's take a look at some of these back sides here, because sometimes they're pretty and sometimes they're just kind of dark depending on the piece. Oh, here's this one. It has like a green hilly pattern. Okay, so now that I've picked out my squares, you may, if you want to rearrange them to make your color scheme a little different, however you want to do it, that is, so I'm going to turn this one this way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of move these out of the way, and I'm going to start by doing my center and work my way out. All right, so let me go ahead and get the lid off my glue. All right, so oh, look at that. That one was pretty. I could have used that side. Oh well, I already have a pattern laid out. I don't want to mess it up. Okay, so I'm going to put some, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go like a diamond shape. So I'm going to put the tippy point at the halfway mark, and I'm using the line in order to keep my squares or diamonds, whatever you want to call it, straight. Okay, so now I'm going to go up here, and I'm just going to put this, and yes, half of it's going to come off. It's going to hang off the top, and that's okay because we are going to trim it down at the end. So again, I want to try to keep it as straight as possible. Okay. Come down below. And so all I'm going to do here is just start gluing my squares onto my paper. So, of course, the more squares you use, the more tedious it is. There we go. And I just think this paper is gorgeous. There's so many scenic scenes that make up the paper that it's just beautiful. When you cut them, you can cut them into strips, squares, things, and still hold out those beautiful patterns. Okay, so now that I'm ready to do the sides, I'm going to leave a little space in between the squares so that it kind of gives like a little border. Okay, just a little bit. Doesn't need to be a lot. Right? Now you can put the squares right up against each other. Doesn't hurt anything. I just thought it would look pretty with the little border with the very vanilla cardstock. Okay, so here, and so you'll see that the kind of tips line up. I'm not always the straightest person in the world, so kind of those points help me. I don't know why I think I have things straight, and then they're not quite so straight when I come down and look at it. When I look at it later, I think, oh my gosh, it's straight, and then it's not so straight. Now I'm going to do the other side. Okay. And again, leaving kind of like a little border with the squares. Sorry if my head gets in the way. And then we're almost there. Okay. Got my little puppy dog snoring away on the floor over here next to me. She likes to keep me company as I craft. This one, I guess I didn't cut it very straight because it's not wanting to go very straight on the paper. Okay, and then our last piece. Now you could add more triangles to this pattern. You could add more here, kind of go out. I just kind of liked having this view. I had actually tried doing a pattern where I used more, had more squares going, and I thought, oh, this is going to be great. And then after I did it, I was like, well, I really didn't like it as much as I thought I would. So anyway, I liked this. I thought it was just a really good amount. All right, so now we're going to take my scissors and we're going to cut off the ends. And I like to do that by just flipping my cardstock over. I can kind of see the line where it is and just cut along there. And then come over here and cut along there. Okay, so there we go. So now we have our card front made for the front of our card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and I'm going to take my peach pie and I am going to go ahead and add this to the card base. So I'm going to put in, let's go with some green or all-purpose glue. And I want to make sure that it's side to side, front to front, side to side. And there we go. All right. So now to decorate it, I'm going to be using some retired items just because I want to use up my retired things or play with some stamp sets I haven't played with in a long time. And kind of when I looked at this, I thought kind of, oh, I put it upside down. Oh, well, I guess, do I really want to take it off? No, because it's already pretty pretty stuck. So yeah, I'm not going to do that. So yeah, it's upside down. Sorry about that. But you get the idea. All right, so see, that's a big mistake that I often make. I get so excited to glue things down, I forget to check. And so now, hopefully, the next 5 cards I make, I will be extra vigilant in checking out what direction I'm putting this on. All right, so be that a warning to you. All right, so what I went ahead and did is I'm going to grab an old punch that I had. I don't remember what the name of this punch is. Fancy punch, fancy label, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to use some scrap cloud cover that I have, and I'm going to just punch out a label. Okay. And I thought that would look real pretty because it meant the cloud cover, of course, matches the cloud cover that's in the paper itself. Okay, so I'm going to have that. I'm just going to put that right there for the side. And what I want to do is I'm going to use Bottled Happiness. I'm going to use this bottle, and I'm going to use Sending Cheer to stamp. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and stamp Sending Cheer. I'm going to use Secret Sea, and I'm going to stamp it kind of up here on the top of the label. So let me grab my stamp. So it's photopolymer, so you can see through and you can kind of see where you are stamping on the paper. All right, so excuse me if my head gets in the way, but I'm going to put it over on the side here, and I'm going to hold it down to let the ink transfer from the stamp into the paper, and there you go, Sending Cheer. And I'm going to leave Secret Sea open for just a minute. Let me get this out of the way, because now I want to use, and I want to go ahead and stamp the bottle, and I'm going to do it on a scrap piece of a Very Vanilla. And I'm going to also again use Secret Sea, and I'm going to go ahead and again, I'm going to let it sit for a minute. Not a minute, but a little bit to let the ink transfer. Okay, there we go. Have a real pretty bottle there. And I would like to have some flowers to be next to the bottle. My original idea was to have flowers kind of coming out of the bottle. I thought, oh no, that's going to cover too much of my pretty cardstock, which I made in that diamond shape. So I didn't want to do that. So anyway, I'm going to fussy cut this out here in just a second, but through the magic of television, we are going to do something else instead. And you know what, guys, I always get, for some reason, Secret Sea is the bane of my existence, and for some reason, every time I open it, I get Secret Sea on my fingers, and then I transfer it to what I'm working on because I don't realize it's on there because I'm being so careful, but somehow I managed to do it. All right, so now I'm going to grab my peach pie, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use from the Wildflower Designs. Again, this is retired, but I'm going to use these little wispy flowers. I really like them. And I'm going to also use some my scrap paper. Sorry, my brain doesn't always operate on full throttle. So there we go. So I'm going to ink that up, and then I'm just going to stamp here on, again, Very Vanilla scrap, and then let it transfer. And now I've got these flowers, and you can do your blending brush and fill them in. Okay, and when I did this before, I actually, when I went to cut it out to have it done ahead of time, I actually did it in Secret Sea, and then I colored it. I used the dies to cut it out, but I colored in the stem with crumb cake, and then I colored in the flower. So that's what we're going to be using. Although I'm going to save this and use it to make another card with this without my inky fingers having gotten all over it. All right, so here is that. Here is the bottle I fussy cut out earlier, and here is our tab. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of lay this out, kind of see how to fit it on there. I like the flowers kind of sticking out, but I want to make sure they don't cover up the sending chair. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some glue to the stem first, just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of, again, lay it on there, just so I can get the bottle and the flowers the way that I want them. And then I'll go back and add glue to the rest to put it on our tab. Okay. All right, so now it's ready to go over. I don't want to put it all the way because it is extending off at the top and at the bottom. So just a little bit. Okay. The multi-purpose glue is very strong. Okay, so there we go. And now I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of this. And I'm using the 20, 24, 26 in color shimmer gems. And I'm using the peach pie. And we're going to add these to the card when we're done. I'm going to go ahead and have them out ready to go. Okay, so now I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of this. And I don't know where I put my, oh, there it is. I was like, I don't know where I put my take your pick tool. I actually, for once, put it up where it belongs. Okay, so there we can go. Keeps it easier to take those off. My card front. See how I got some secret C somehow on there? Got it on my thumb and somehow got it onto my card when I was moving it away. That's just typical for me. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and lay that on there. Okay, and now let's add some gems. And I like the take your pick, so I can flip it over and I can use kind of like the spatula section to help me get my gems off the paper. I know some people are really good at using the pointy side. I don't know, for some reason that just never seems to work out well for me. All right, so now the idea is just finding spots to put your gems. Okay, I'm going to add one right there because that little space seems to need one. And then I'm going to add another small one. I'm going to put it right there. So we kind of like a line. All right, so for the inside of the card, I thought it would be fun to take one of our squares. See how I have some triangles already cut. We're going to go ahead and cut from point to point, and I'm going to use these little halves in the corner of the inside of my card. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Let's add some glue. Sorry, my glue's getting to the end, and so it's done. All right, so I'm going to turn this and I'm going to put it up at the very top, and I'm going to leave a little itty bitty border. And then I'm going to do the same thing down here in the corner. Add some glue. And then let's put this over here. Again, leaving a little itty bitty tiny border. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and place this to the inside of our card. And we're going to leave a border around the side so that it's kind of centered as best as possible, straight as best as possible. I'm going to kind of put that down. Remember, you want to kind of like pat it down and not try to move. I've so many times I've gone to kind of like to make sure the glue sets, and I end up sliding it off and then it sticks and then it doesn't want to work. Yes, I know you have some wiggle room with liquid glue, but I don't know. I don't seem to have as much time for wiggling as one might think. All right, so let me burnish this. And there you go. There is your card. Let's cover up the mishap with the ink. and there is using these. I love how you can use these 1-inch squares, your scraps, in order to create very pretty patterns for your cards. Well, anyway, if you are looking for a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator. You can find me at my store at softwindcrafting.stampinup.net. You can send me a message through there at softwindcrafting@gmail.com. And I'd love to help you with any of your card making or paper crafting needs. Thank you very much for joining me today. I'll see you next time.